All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate, either way, it is the winter solstice. It is Christmas time. It is Hanukkah time. It is Kwanzaa time. And and I hate that I keep forgetting this, but I want to say there's even something for like Arabic and Islamic areas. Either way, it's the middle of winter and like it's always a good time for cause for celebration. So, and I just wanted to jump on and do another one of my quick before work musings because there's quite a lot of activity on the social engineering front. And so, for those that don't know, I'm a cybersecurity professional and I do try to, well, I'm fiddling with things. I'm working on some things, pretty much my doctor's thesis, my master's thesis, whatever. I don't even have my master's yet, but I plan on earning that and just becoming a cybersecurity expert. But my area of focus is on the psychological component, both on the positive and the negative side, understanding crime and why people feel that, well, one, feel that they can get away with crime. Because if everybody had instant accountability, nobody would do crime. And that's what humanity tried to do with religion and then later holidays. We'll just leave it at that, little ears and all that. But like Jesus basically was supposed to be like, okay, look, God really is present. God can see everything we do. Which, and since learning technology, that is kind of like a scary realization. Is like, if we are living in a simulation, then yeah, whoever created us is looking at all of the weird, perverse things that we're doing. And like, there is direct accountability. Now, not to say that the inference of direct accountability is also what led to the Dark Ages and what kept us from progressing as a species and fixing a lot of the things. And that's the unfortunate side effect of science is until we get it right, we have to test things and trial and error. And it is one of the things from World War II. There were Nazi German scientists running all sorts of experiments on people, and it was just kind of like the training wheels were taken off. The training wheels of ethics and morality and empathy for these people were taken off, and they were allowed to have free reign to experiment on living people, which yeah, no, and I'm not trying to glorify that in any way. That's horror. That's horrendous. That's terrible. That's why we usually test on lab mice, which it's still horrible for the lab mice too. Like, I mean, that's got to be weighing on people's conscience, but that's not nearly as bad as a human. I mean, and then you get into like values and stuff. Is how much is a life worth based on the species, and all life is good or no life is good, or all extremes and all this. There's all these different paradigms of thinking that can go every which direction. But and the reason that I wanted to jump on here rather than wait until, because I'll probably have some time tonight. I'm still getting things ready for my kiddos for Christmas. I got a couple of kiddos that are excited and looking forward to a nice big, and I'm all waiting on certain things to come together, and it's okay. We'll be okay. We'll have a good Christmas. But like, if I can get this money together first, legally too. I'm not doing anything illegal. Back in the day, I might have taken some shortcuts, but that's only because I didn't believe in the war on drugs. Now, granted, yes, drugs are bad, okay? And I'm totally of the South Park opinion, but South Park has several episodes about how weed is pretty much harmless, and that's my biggest stance. Is like, weed and shrooms could help save vets' lives, and that kind of ties into why I wanted to do a video. So, I've been seeing a lot of posts on the X app about Benghazi, and so for those that don't know, here in America we have our government controls the military, and then certain people are directly responsible for sending aid, calling strikes, calling rescues, all that stuff, and like Although actually, you know what? As I say that, that's a load of hot garbage. Hillary Clinton, I don't think she was the only one like responsible for that. There are superior officers that either approve or deny action. That's why we have generals and on site. So there was a chain of command before it got to Hillary Clinton. So that's my thought on it. Just from my basic and very outsider understanding of how our military works. Like there was somebody closer to the situation that had the say. I'm pretty sure. But either way, it doesn't matter. Even if it was Hillary say that killed those four people. Now, this is why statistics is important. And not everybody takes statistics. That's why gambling is such a thing. People say, oh, well, maybe I'll be that person. But much more likely, you're going to be one of the many, many more people that's not happy, that lost money, and that money is going to go to someone else. So basically, they're just stealing from you. They're letting you steal it from yourself. But no, so I've been posting responses to a lot of these things. Like they're really trying to target Hillary, and they're rallying up this hate and everything. 26,000. So that number is, slightly higher than four. And I'm not saying that those four lives didn't matter. It's just like if they're going to invest their anger and hatred and focus it on somebody, focus it on the Republicans that kept trying to destroy the ACA or the Affordable Care Act. Because, and I have a government article from the National, it's like the National Health and Science Institute or something like that, but it's a government agency that it does report on all of these things, like how are Americans dying? How are people losing their lives? And which is an unalienable right. Like, I mean, if we're supposed to do everything in our power, not everything, but we're supposed to hold this sacred, that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are the three pillars of our American government. Those are the unalienable rights that are drilled into our mind, that these are your right. You have the right to live. You have the right to your property, which was taken away with the Crime Bill Act, a quarter size amount of crack. And Biden was bragging about this, and I remind him, not that he's ever just talked to me directly, but, this thing, the police, because there's this nice little video snippet that has the left side of Biden talking about how a quarter-sized amount of crack cocaine will get all of your stuff taken away. Like, they could take everything. They could take your car. They could take your house. They could take your money. They could fine you ridiculous amounts, thousands and thousands of dollars that you don't have because you have a drug. So that's just like that's a board game, or that's like, it's such a game. It's like, knick-knack, paddywhack, you got caught with the hot potato, and now you get to give me all your stuff. Like, in what world does that make sense? So this person is obviously going through some things, just like experimenting and trying, or, oh, they got stuck in some addiction, rather than help them, let's kick them while they're down, take their stuff, and basically mug them, and then throw them in prison so they can think about what they did, like a schmuck. And then they come out, and then we're going to expect them to be happy, contributing members of society on the back end. Oh, it's a revolving door of justice. Who could be doing this? Who could have known that this would have, had this adverse effect of you're not fixing the problem, you're sweeping it under the rug. We're using a landfill approach to people, and people aren't garbage to just be swept under the rug. People think, they remember, they work, they apply their efforts to things. And so that's why I'm trying to basically be a conductor. In fact, it was funny. I used to have this nickname back in the day called the trip conductor, as far as hallucinogens go, because I would guide people on journeys, much like Native Americans. Like, that's a big part of their Native American culture, and they still are allowed to practice it in prison. That they would do hallucinogens, and then they would have like a spiritual journey and commune with nature, give respect and appreciation to whoever or whatever created us. They would often refer to God as just the creator because they didn't know. They had what they felt in their heart and their minds, what they thought was a good idea for, like, okay, that makes sense. That seems to track. Same with us and God and our, Islam, Christianity, and then Judaism, which is basically what Christianity was. And then Christianity was like a Protestant Judaism, at least as far as I understand. I mean, I could be way off base there, but from my, brief and somewhat outsider opinion on organized religion, is that's what it is. It's people trying to make sense of the world and saying, hey, whoever's up there could be Lisa with her tooth, or Bender floating through the universe as God. Like, there's so many things that we've done to try to explain what could be the potentials and all that. So I don't know, but anyways, back to the X app. So I love X app, and it's a love-hate thing because I'm talking to real people all around the world, and I'm labeled as a Democrat on there. But in my X app profile, I make sure to say Democrat Blue Crew with the hashtags. However, I have friends and family from all over in religion, politics, and ethnicity. I have a person I consider a brother who's a Saudi Arabian Muslim. Like, that it's that saying, like, when a mosquito lands on a man's junk, he learns that violence isn't always the answer. It means, because otherwise, if violence was the answer, you would smack that mosquito and smack yourself in the junk, and yeah, that would hurt a lot. So it's the same concept. Like, I've taken Saudis and Islams, not me, like, not a conscious thought on my part. I lived with them. I had the opportunity to live with this culture and these people from this other place of the world and find out not only were they the exact same as me, just with a few minor differences, like they had the same wants, the same desires, the same fears, the same shortcomings, the same imposter syndrome, the same struggles when we were all doing homework together and stuff and trying to get these degrees so somebody could write a piece of paper and say, yes, this person is fit to hold a job that will pay enough to live comfortably. Like they are competent enough and capable enough, and I trust this person. And that's what it is. It's giving your word, your trust. So I have the trust of Colorado State University through a lot of money and a lot of hours and a lot of my time and my life. And now I have that piece of paper that says I am to be trusted with computer systems and technology. I have a bachelor's level in scientific understanding of computing technology, specifically more for IT and system admin, which is funny because that's what I am now. And I love it so much more than software development. Like software is fun. When you write something, it's like you're building a machine that finally takes off flight or, it finally does these amazing and wonderful things like calculate big data sets in a fraction of a second and neatly organize it in a nice, neat, compact way for you to present to somebody. I love that stuff. Everybody does. Again, humanity loves doing that stuff. Tinkering, especially male. Sorry, I can't really speak too much on the female side. And then you have the gender ideology, which is people in between that maybe they relate one way or the other. And that is also human nature. It's not restricted to just America and the Rainbow Mafia. I was in Mumbai, India, and I saw hedros, which are basically cross-dressers, hermaphrodites, whatever you want to call them, but people that are more gender fluid and wanting to indulge and express more of a feminine nature. And I'm fine with it, whatever. Like, that does not bother me. What bothers me is when people trick kids, maybe, and that's what a lot of people are actually scared of, is like, they're worried that that situation is going to be applied to their children, and somebody's going to trick them into thinking that, yes, you can get pregnant as a man, or you will be completely accepted for who you are if you want to go down this path. And then there's certain places which, and of course, this is all covered in the therapy and counseling that they get, everyone who transitions. And in fact, now I do want to understand a little more, so I probably will ask. I do have a cousin that transitioned, and I'll have to ask her kind of like just what her experience was. And it takes no problem for me. It's just like calling someone Mr. and Mrs. Like, I feel like that's more awkward than calling a dude a lady and a lady a dude. If they want to be considered that, that doesn't bother me at all. That's their identity. Just like I don't want to be considered, like I call myself someone with a checkered background because it was offensive to wear that mask of felon, criminal. Like I have a background, and it's hard to even say that because, it took a lot more extra work to even get a basic job as a criminal. And it wasn't even like violent crime or anything. It was drugs. That's as much as I'll say. Like, and if it were to happen today, I wouldn't have been charged because they're now legal. Like, so that's where I get really upset. It's like, and I want to, continue to do these ramblings to fight for the other people, the youngsters coming up and being like, oh, I love hanging out with this and partying, and these are fun. And oh wait, oh, they found me, and they found what I have, and now I am a horrible person that is dangerous that needs to be, because that's what prison and jail are for. You're supposed to put somebody behind bars because they're a danger to society and then to teach them a lesson. A day behind bars would be sufficient, but instead we have people sitting there for years. Like, just watch people's behavior if you go into jail. If you're one of the lucky people that get to go experience that, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, it doesn't take much. So, anyways, back to statistics and relevancy and laws. So, Hillary Clinton, there's a lot of uproar because now people can taste the blood. They're like, yes, we're going to get her. We're going to get Hillary. And all the anger that's been fabricated for her over time. Because Benghazi, let's keep this in mind. 4 people lost their lives. 4. It is tragic. It is sad. Now, I've been posting something that talks about 26,000. 26,000 is a little bit bigger than 4. And that's how many Americans were dying because of lack of health care every year. And that's not just a one-time thing. That's throughout several years. There was an average, and that's why I post this article. And many of them are vets. And so that's the other thing. Is like people might not care as much because like, oh, that's not my group. That's not my people. Or I'm not like ready to be mad at that group, or oh, that is tragic, but who cares, basically, is what they're saying. Like, look at these 4 soldiers that died in Benghazi. And it's like, okay, well, yes, it's sad, But the people that are telling you to be mad about this are wanting you to forget that they actually caused this because of greed. And the Bible talks about that. The Bible says greed's kind of a bad thing. Don't do it. And that's why. It's because you might not understand that taking more than you're supposed to might leave less for others. And then when you explain it like something as simple as that, it's like, oh, well, yeah, of course, that makes sense. Well, but that's what you're doing. Like, if you're sucking up all these resources and just absorbing them without, like, letting them flow back out into the world, then you are hoarding resources that could be used to maybe make Christmas a little more enjoyable for somebody, or maybe make, some family have more comfortable, even just have a place to sleep at night without having to worry about, oh gosh, I just lost my job. I got to, put up with this toxic work environment. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to buy my kids things, and then they're going to be depressed and sad, and most of the times they could care less. You wrap up a big box in shiny paper and it could have like a bunch of socks or clothes. Like, it's still the big shiny paper and opening things and getting things. That's the thrill, not so much like how much money you spent on it. So, and actually, I got to go soon. I got a meeting, but basically, and that's why I do all this stuff that I do. So 26,000 people is more than four, and that very basic comparison would lead some of those people to be a little more angry about corporate greed, like because it is the insurance companies, like that guy that Mario shot had a hand in picking and choosing who gets to have insurance based on what's going to make him more money. So that's why I'm not condoning murder, never. We shouldn't be killing each other because that is life, liberty, and property. That is a violation of our unalienable rights. However, I think that all of these healthcare people need to be tried as war criminals for all the deaths that they indirectly cause because of greed. Like, if their decision was directly responsible for the death of a person, then that should be charged as murder. There should be no difference, because just like, and that's what we had with the Elijah McCain riots, the BLM protests and riots, because there were a lot of protests that were perfectly legal. And I have cop buddies in Aurora that told me just as much, like, yeah, so a lot of them were fine, but a lot more, well, no, they didn't say a lot. There were only a few that actually did what they were supposed to. Like the sit-in that actually did make the difference in Denver's capital. Like, there was a sit-in, and that helped policy change because they had to vote on it with the people that it was going to directly affect sitting there looking at them. And like, you're going to really do this? You're going to look me in the face and tell me I'm not worth a vote? But that was what the problem was, is because that EMT gave Elijah ketamine, and Elijah had an adverse effect because he was panicked, he was scared. He probably had some weed in his backpack or something stupid, and he probably thought he was going to jail for that. And I get it. I've been there. I've been taken to jail for some stupid things, and like, and then you're sitting there, you're like, wait a minute, why am I here? Like, I didn't think I was being that dangerous. Like, all I had was a little baggie of something that I was going to go put in my body and then have a fun time for a few hours and then go to sleep. Like, that was it. Nobody was going to get stabbed, hurt, killed. But they treat it like you just ran some kid over, like, and then back over him again, like, ha ha, like, or some crazy, like that's how it's treated. Oh wait, those are potatoes. So, but anyways, and that's why the war on drugs needs to end, and we are working to end it. Like, it's just been ridiculous and an abuse of everything. But that's my point, is 26,000 people die every year, not just one time, because of policy, because of greed, and a lot of these things that Republicans are championing. So what I started doing is I started calling them rhinos. I said, rhinos did that. So if done correctly, we can actually use this to our advantage, redirect their anger and hate to where it really should be, and corporate greed and stuff, and the things that the Bible already says. So it's really not that hard to link these parallels, because if they go to church and if they read from the Bible, then all you got to do is make it a very unchristian thing to do. Or you can blame it on rhinos, like, oh yeah, that was the rhinos back in the day, that they cared more about the bottom line than human life. And Trump is actually a big critic of the ACA for a long time. He finally did come out and say, I'm not going to take it away unless I could do better, because he acknowledges that he won't say the other part out loud, that it was murdering 26,000 Americans every single year, because that would be insane. Because if we're this mad on four people, we could put their names. And I actually saw a couple pictures, and I responded to those pictures. Like, because this military guy drew the four names on each one of his fingers, and then said like a message on his palm saying, F you, Hillary, we'll never forget. And these are the four people. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a picture, and maybe or find a picture with someone with Sharpie all over them, like, because I'm sure I could find it, and then put a title like, I don't have enough hands for the 26,000 people that greed killed. and then just have that, and then post that on everyone, and to be like, yes, this is bad. 4 people, that is terrible. Now, how about just if 4 of those were vets that died on the back end here, where's your outrage? Now, how about if I tell you those are 400? How about 4,000 vets died because most of it is vets, and that's the thing. It's not that hard of a stretch or that big of a stretch to be like, look at all of these veterans that were murdered because of greed. And then when people hear that, they're like, oh, okay, well let's take a look at this. Let's figure out why this is. Oh, it's because we were greedy. Also, yeah, I know I don't need to get all of these. Actually, wait, I should get. Okay, good. I almost bought them out. All right, and then a new one spawns. That's why I do that, and then the llamas can run free. Used to be because oh, there's the alarm, and I got 5 minutes. But used to be I'd do that because they would trample my garden. But now, I keep that pretty sectioned off, and I don't think they can even. They can spawn, so you still got to be kind of careful. But, anyways, that's why I just wanted to hop on today and say like there's been a development, and I'm going to continue to kind of push on that and just kind of add to the idea that you know what, if you're gonna be mad, but be mad at the right people. Like Hillary, she's done some things, okay, things that I don't approve of. I'm mad at, and my next campaign is going to be, or my next little project is going to be, look at all these people that committed suicide, all these veterans that committed suicide, and weed and shrooms could have prevented all of these deaths. So every last person that says, oh, that weed smells bad, I'm going to post that on there and be like, look how many veterans committed suicide. And now here in Colorado, we are discovering that weed and shrooms can actually reverse, treat, and cure addiction, PTSD, and depression. All of the factors that lead to housing insecurity, substance abuse, specifically alcohol main, and then also having an understanding of actual substance use and abuse. I did go through a rehab, a 90-day intense treatment for criminal thinking because I kept continually getting away with things or thinking things were not that bad because they really weren't. Like when you're talking about weed and shrooms, like yeah, I was a dealer. I was back in the day, and like it was these observations that I was just like, wow, this isn't really all that bad. You know what's bad? Getting caught with any of this, and then seeing Bill Murray say the same exact thing about weed. The only dangerous thing about weed is getting caught with it, and that's true. And you might offend somebody's nose because, oh, it's so stinky. I don't like it. It's stinky. And not only that, I've found articles that it helps with clogged arteries, like plaque in your arteries. So heart disease and heart attacks, which are the biggest killer in America. Weed helps with it. Cannabinoids and these like things in weed and cannabis and hemp, and there's a bunch of different types, but like some of it actually kills cancer cells. So if we can make a concentrated dose and apply it directly to where it needs to be applied, we might be able to cure cancer with weed. Like, I mean, that's a stretch, and that's me with a very basic understanding of health. But if I know anything, cancer cells don't like it, then maybe they won't like more of it, and as long as it doesn't hurt the body, which weed, again, if it's not that dangerous, it's insane. And like we have all these benefits, and the biggest thing is that there's no downsides. So even just decriminalizing it and stopping, most cops don't even like care about it because they don't. It's a lot of effort for not a big deal, and they recognized this a long time ago. So if it's up to their discretion whether they have the choice to either prosecute or not, most of the time they'll just be like, nah, this will be your warning, don't do it again. Because then if they see you do it again, then they got to do something, because then it's like, okay, you didn't learn your lesson. But anyways, I got to go. That's my time. I got to go to this meeting, but I just wanted to get on here and say that. So, oh, and I am going to make the CTC server cut the crap. Or cut the crud. I'll make it cut the crud for the PG version, but cut the crap is basically the adult version. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to line up statistics side by side and say, okay, where should we? So imagine your outrage is like a finite commodity. If you're going to invest your outrage and your energy, if you're going to be mad at somebody, who should we be mad at? And then I'm just going to list all of the usual suspects, everybody that voted against the ACA, everybody that, talked down about this, and everybody that spoke out against weed and shrooms, and and all of these things. And we're going to keep the receipts, and we're going to line it up and see who should we really blame. And then make the punishment fit the crime. Nothing weird or unusual, no cruel and unusual punishments, just accountability. And either they resign, they admit fault, or they get banished. I don't know, but we don't kill people. That's just wrong. The Bible says not to. The Quran says it's bad. Like all of it, all of religion says don't go killing people. It's a very bad thing to do. Like only do it in extreme situations is what I think the Quran says. But even then, like Sharia, holy war, is only to be war when it is war. Like, I mean, in a peacetime, it is not meant to be followed. So again, like Islam means peace. Like it is how you the path to peace. So, anyways, ta-ta for now. I will see you in the next one. Happy Monday. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Ramadan, I think is later, but or I think it might have already just passed actually. Anyways, ta-ta for now. I will see you in the next one.